We're here in Shandong, China, the largest agricultural region in the country. Behind me, they are manufacturing poultry equipment that I'll be putting in my new farm. We'll be checking out this facility, where they warehouse it, how they ship it off. Let's get to it. It's day 2. We're headed to see where the magic happens at the factory, where they actually manufacture some feeding pans and drinking lines, I think is all they're manufacturing right now. But we're gonna go check it out. We got a 2-hour drive ahead. Okay, I think this is gonna be a tourist hotspot. Let's check it out. Just joking. Okay, we're here at the factory, just waking up, so I'm trying to get myself in the zone here. But we have panel doors finished out here, big pallets of them. Insulation, yellow stuff. Behind me here, this would be the panel door design. Instead of tarp, you could use something like this and it actually directs the air upwards rather than it just flying through a tarp. So we may look at getting something like this down the line. We already got tarps, so we're not looking to change it right now, just to keep things simple. But that's essentially what it would look like. And I think generally is a better design, but obviously a little more expensive, a little more pieces to install. So we'll stick with the tarp right now, but maybe we'll get that installed at some point in the future. So the cool thing about these is that these can actually be controlled automatically through this motor here. Makes it a little more of a slick operation. This looks like the frame of it here. And then they have some set up here covering the windows. So these ones are manual. You can actually crank it to move rather than having a motor do it automatically. So honestly, in the Philippines, you may opt for something like this because it's simple for your employees to use, and there's less chance of something technical breaking that you need a technician to come in and fix. So something like that's a pretty good option, actually. It's pretty easy to install too. You just screw in the frame and it would just replace where the tarp goes. So I hope they're okay with me doing this, but you crank it and then you can see it moving down there, or you can put it back up. Smooth system. This is a big property with a lot of buildings. This would be worth a lot of money. So we saw the owner yesterday, and you now see how deep that guy's pockets must be. Not to be pocket watching these people, but when you meet somebody that's started and runs a company like this, it's always, you have a deep respect for what's gone into it. Like, look, this is a property and a half. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of employees, a lot of equipment and technology and expertise, all centralized right here at the factory. These big rolls here, this is the fiberglass material that sandwiches the insulation to create the panel door. So you have the insulation, you have sheets of that on top, and then you have the aluminum frame around. And that essentially are the main components that create those panels that you see right there. It's relatively simple when you break it down to its components, but it's pretty cool. It's all built in-house. These are some pretty thick rolls, and there's like thousands of panels built here. So this is probably a relatively in-demand product rather than the tarp, which is cheaper, not as effective, and what we're getting. Because we're cheaping out, okay? We gotta get some money coming in before we get these luxuries. We're switching to another building. This looks like where we're gonna see water lines get put together. They have some machinery rolling here. We're getting a several step process here. This is picking up the nipples, dropping it down there, and then they get poked up through. You'll see some get put in, boom, right in there. And then I think there's a piece of equipment down below that's cutting holes in it. We've seen the nipples get put onto the PVC pipe there, but this is where the metal ones are actually manufactured. All of these machines are pumping out little metal nipples like this. Like looking. So they're actually producing the components to piece it together too. So it's a pretty automated process getting this together. So it's not just the nipples, but it looks like some of the hardware to actually piece things together is getting produced in here through these machines. This is how you achieve economies of scale and really get your costs down low. This is mass manufacturing right before our very eyes. It's a relatively small factory, all things considered. And on China scale, this would be a really small factory, but having machines like this would be a pretty large upfront cost. I'm sure these are not cheap, but the quantity of components these would produce every single day would be extremely high. And this is how you really get your cost per item down quite low. Yeah, economies of scale in action right now. I've never seen kind of rows of equipment like this, producing products like this. And now over here is where the final product gets packaged up, ready to be shipped out. They finish off the actual nipple that goes in the line. So you see the small metal pieces that we saw getting produced by those machines are actually getting stamped in to the yellow plastic part right here. And then after that's done, then they'll go get stamped into the PVC, and then you have your nipple line. And you can see these aren't 100%. You have humans checking the results. So there is a margin of error that these machines would have. Look, you can see the metal pieces filtering through the pipe. They look like little test tubes almost, like I'm back in my biochemistry days. Grace was saying that these machines could run you like 20,000 US bucks, and there's a lot of them in here. Let's go do a little sanity check. So you probably have about 50 to 60 machines. So we're talking over 1 million USDs worth of equipment here. This is a capital intensive operation. Who knows if these are bought with cash or finance, but you don't just start a factory like this without having some capital to put into it. So I'm sure these are probably equally as expensive as well. They need to bring me in as a product tester. Anyways, I gotta grow up. So, but this looks like, this is a different type of nipple line, I believe. And I think here they're potentially testing out how they work, checking for no leaks. But look at this manual check of something over here with the microscope. Do you think she's done that before? So this one-by-one check we're looking at, which has got to be tough on the eyes. She's checking this piece here to make sure that this seal ridge has the integrity, structural integrity that it should. And it's going to seal this water line so there's no leakage or anything. So that's actually getting checked manually, one by one, which is pretty crazy. So the machines do a lot of the heavy lifting here, but you have people validating the work that they produce, such as that. Her eyes got to be burning. So you see all the equipment here. We're seeing pieces get mass manufactured in an automated fashion. You're seeing humans validating the work being done. There's like millions and millions of small components being produced here. It's crazy. But what's funny is that Miss Grace and the engineer here, like they both work here, and like they think this is like a small little family shop. Like this is like a really small operation. We're here because we met the owner and we're like, wow, like he's got a big company. He's through a big company. And she's like, no, I think it's quite small. I'm like, what the f? So like the perspective on what manufacturing is in China is like, I mean, it's just huge. You need to be producing at a massive volume for people to think you have a big operation on the go. Because from my perspective, this is a pretty big company and it's impressive how it operates. So it's interesting, the difference in perspective. Hello there. Take a quick break from your regularly scheduled programming here and just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to Weifeng Ubest, the manufacturer I went to see in this trip in China. They were so accommodating. They were so generous with their time. So if you need farming equipment, I put the link to their website in the description, as well as Miss Grace's Facebook contact. She was super helpful. I just got in touch with her through Facebook, so I'll put her Facebook down below if you want to reach out. Thanks for watching. Now we're headed to see the production of the feed pans. Okay, we're here. You see boxes everywhere full of feed pans. We'll go check out how they're made here. We got some more machines here. These look a little more expensive than 20,000 bucks. We'll go take a look at what we can see getting produced. But you see again, a lot of automation, just a line of robots here producing stuff. But you can see the plastic cups of the water line getting produced and dropped off here. Drinking lines. Boom. Bottom feed pan trays. I'll just stack it up precisely here. Boom. Oh, it's still warm. I don't want to touch it and with the mold. That one has my fingerprints on it. So whoever gets that one's lucky. And then let's see what they have down in this one. Oh, we're producing a different type of feeding tray. It's probably almost like a 3D print type machine where you can put in what mold you want and you supply this machine with the materials and then it can produce things like this. It can produce the bottoms of the trays. I'm just kind of guessing, but I think that's probably what can happen. Oh, come here. This here we see the actual mold get made. You see the mold on the side? That's probably just gonna get stamped with hot plastic or something. Let's see what happens here. Oh, it's happening. So you see essentially, it's just stamping a mold, and then it has little suction cups there that come in and pick it up and then drop it on the conveyor belt like we saw there. And then there's all the final products. And then again, you have one of us humans doing the dirty work. Here you see some finished. These are the water pressure regulators, if you will. Got a lot more plastic components that are probably being made by the same machine, just different molds. You got. That's how you see how high your water pressure is. Maybe we'll put some pictures up of what these look like in an actual farm when they're put together. We're at the other end of this building, similar looking manufacturing facility, same equipment. So they're producing the feed pan grills. Pretty slick, different type of feed pan. Some more cups for the water lines. And then we have some pharmaceutical things being manufactured as well. So it works. And that's how they get it done in China, almost entirely automated. Checked by humans, us stupid humans still playing our role, and that's about it. It's the next day now. We are now headed to a model broiler farm to see what the deal is. Let's go check it out. It's a little far to drive, I think. Okay, here we are at a small farm here. Watch your head. But we are again in the remote streets of China. See, it's just a one-row small broiler farm, multi-tier. We're in the brooding stage now, so it's pretty warm in here. Looks like for feeding, they just feed along the outside here. Different color birds here. They're kind of darker, so it'd be a different breed than what we'd typically see back in the Philippines. But it's a pretty cool setup. Look at them sticking their heads out. Hello, Manok. It's cage type, obviously, as you can see. I'll have to ask how many birds are in here, but they would do a manual harvest where they just would essentially open up the door and just grab the chicks out manually rather than having them fall on a conveyor belt where they'd take them out. Can't even see them. They have some black ones. They have some different breeds in here, but it's a pretty simple setup overall. So it's 12,000 capacity in here. And if you think of the farm we're running now, 15,000, this is like a lot more efficient use of space. It's a pretty small building, and the capacity's almost the same. Well, 3,000 is kind of a big difference, but not huge compared to the space that they occupy here. Like just one row. See the black ones peeking their head out? They're tough to see up close. How it works here, we're just speaking to the owner here. Different breed of birds and pretty different process. So they'll actually keep them in these cages for 35 days. And after 35 days, they'll still only be about half a kilogram. Whereas in Philippines, you'd expect it to be like at least 1.5 kilograms at that time. And then they'll take it and then they bring them outside to grow for another 90 days. So another 3 months. And then after that 3 months, then they're around 1.6 kilograms and then they sell them to the market. So we're talking like a 4-month cycle here to get them to 1.6 kilograms rather than like 30 days, what you'd see in the Philippines. So different breed, different management process, and a lot longer of a cycle here to get them up to the size. But it's pretty interesting. And you could they look different. It's kind of the aesthetic of the birds. So although this is brooding, they've probably been here for a few weeks right now and will end up here for about 35 days. Okay, so they're breeding Chinese native chickens. See them there, different color, different management, a lot longer growth cycle. And it looks like here, they have different age chickens as well. Like these ones look a lot bigger than down here. These look like pretty small, I don't know, a week old maybe. Down there, it looks like they're probably a few weeks. So I don't know what the typical deal is, but pretty cool. And I don't think, this isn't tunnel vented. They have side inlets here. So this is pretty old school. So the equipment supplied by Weifang would probably just be the cages, feeding tray along the side here, and the water line. This is farming. You know, we're getting down to its more basic form here, really extracting out technology, and we just have an area for the chickens to sit in, feed line, and that's about it. So, you know, you can end up growing and harvesting a decent number of birds without having to invest a lot of money in this technology and automation and control panels. Like, you don't necessarily need all that. It makes it easier to manage. It maybe increases your likelihood of having good grows, but you know, they're able to turn over 12,000 birds here with pretty minimal technology. So it's nice to see farming in a more raw state. Okay, so this is their main auger here. You can flick it on and this will suck feed up through this tube, and you like kind of manually fill each side there. So rather than having like the main hopper that automatically pulls it through, you just take that through and it's like a serving tray almost down for the Minook. Just pretty cool that they actually said there's no fans in here, but they actually have 2 fans, and you can see small little cooling pads on the side there. So it's like a little mini 1-lane tunnel vent. And their mortality, he was saying, is only like 1%. So these are resilient Minook, hence why they're letting us come here, and hence why they live for 3 months outside. Your typical broiler chicken in the Philippines, you're not setting outside for 3 months. They're just unbuilt like that. Like, they're bred to just be grown and grow quick and produce at scale. But these are strong Minook here. 1% mortality would be a dream come true. But that's typically what they average here. This is where the control is. We just came in through there. Now we're in here. That's their control panel, actually. The temperature is 33 degrees inside about. And this machine here, which is kind of cool, this is used to heat the water that they give the chickens during the brooding stage. So they don't just heat the building, they actually warm up the water that they give them. So that's not something I've ever seen before. It took us a while to hash that out. We're kind of like, is this heating the building or the water, or what the f is going on here? But this heats the water that they give them. They said they used to heat it via coal, so I don't know what that looked like, maybe a water line running through like hot coals or something. And then they got this machine now, which is what they use to heat the water. And then this is actually the control panel, not the one we just saw over there, but this one here is used to control the environment inside. So you can see, just want to give you a sense of the environment that we're in. It's like, take a look there. We are rural, baby. We are in these rural streets. Hopefully you can get a good sense of the environment, but it's it's pretty cool. This isn't the touristy stuff. So it's fun to be out here in a really small community like this, looking at smaller farms. Here we are, we're in a second building, literally like right next door to the first one we saw. This one's about 50,000 capacity, a lot bigger. And they're loading chicks in here tonight, so it's all cleaned out. You see, look at the little manual trays in there. Small little trays, but it'll be a similar setup as before. I wish we got to see them bring in the chicks and unload it, and what that looked like would be cool. And then you see the water line there. If you actually touch the water line, it's like, it's hot. It's like they're drinking like hot tea in here. They give good treatment for these Chinese Minook. Walk down to the end. I just want to see how many fans they have. So they have 1, 2, 3, 6 ventilation fans in here. I'm sure just looking at the structure, it's probably Air Leak City. But they would have cooling pads in the back as well. But the style of Minook is just like, these are resilient Minook that live outside for 3 months. So not that you don't have to be careful with them, but they can withstand a, you know, more variable environment than your typical Filipino broiler. And one problem back in the Philippines is with these multi-tier ones is like, what do you do with the manure? You have crazy fly problems, which can shut down your farm, and it's a tough issue to manage. But here they can actually, like he's saying, like they just sell their manure wet. They get rid of it on a daily basis and are able to discard it without having to do any processing with it. So you'll notice in the building we were just in, like, and this is the property in general, like no flies at all, like none. Whereas I've been to some cage types in the Philippines and the flies are brutal, and it's really tough to manage the manure because you typically need to get it processed before you can sell it to farmers, but that's not the case here. There's almost like twice as many greenhouses within this community than there are poultry farms. It was similar with the layer farms we were at. So them selling their manure is essentially just giving it to their neighbor per se. So it's like an agricultural ecosystem here where one farm's waste is another farm's inputs, and they really work symbiotically together, which is, you know, creates an easier environment in terms of managing waste. And this is the water line here. And if you feel it, it's actually hot to the touch. That is it. Just got to see a really wholesome broiler farm here in a small town in China. This might be it for the video. So if it is, like and subscribe for more cool shit like this. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.